Welcome to Speaking Holistically, the podcast that explores the power of alternative medicine, natural healing, and homeopathic solutions to help you achieve true wellness. Each week, Dr. Jen and Amy G dive into the world of holistic health, discussing researched, time-tested remedies with expert insights from Dr. Jen, as well as real-life stories from patients to empower you to take charge of your health. So if you're ready to embrace a more natural path to wellness, let's start speaking holistically, because true healing begins from within. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Speaking Holistically. I'm your co-host, Amy G, and I'm here with my co-host, the Woman of the Hour, Dr. Jen. And we're doing a common health concerns episode on kidney stones today. And this is obviously a huge topic for anybody who's had one. They're incredibly painful, and you've got some natural options on how to treat them.
So yeah, there's plenty of different options, but the one thing that there's a lot of misinformation out there, and I'll have patients come in and say that their doctor told them not to take any calcium supplements, and I'm like, So without calcium, you would be in excruciating pain. You wouldn't have, certain things occur in the body. There's enzymatic processes that occur because of this. Muscles also are able to contract and relax by the utilization of calcium channels and stuff like that. So calcium can be very, very important. However, what I always ask people to go back to and ask their doctor is, okay, so what kind of calcium is the stone made of? So generally, kidney stones are made out of calcium oxalate, which you will rarely, if ever, find in any supplementation. So taking calcium supplements doesn't usually increase the risk or the size or anything of kidney stones because they're generally made out of calcium oxalate. So calcium oxalate is a type of calcium that's generally found in foods, so like in leafy greens and stuff like that. What happens is we're not using natural fertilizers anymore. We're using a lot of synthetic fertilizers that don't have enough phosphorus in them to put that back into the ground, or we're not tilling whatever we're not utilizing back into the ground so the soil is as nutrient dense as it needs to be. So a lot of people don't have enough phosphorus, and that's where a lot of calcification issues occur in the body, is because of a lack of phosphorus. Very often people are not getting their labs checked with phosphorus. They'll check calcium sometimes, potassium sometimes, sodium sometimes, but really not the phosphorus. So getting that check can be also really, really helpful. So here's what I generally do if somebody has kidney stones, and that is I add something called phosphid liquid. Let's see if we can see that. If I get out of the way. Yep, from standard process. It's liquid, okay? It's very bitter. It tastes like lemon juice, I guess. Not exactly, but it's going to be bitter like that. It's not going to be sweet. It says on the bottle to put it in water. Here's another caveat, because I thought I'm smarter than they are. So I went ahead. I didn't like extending out that bitter flavor for too long. And you need to put it in ample water. The directions are on the bottle. Just use them. So I decided I would just put the dropper in my mouth and then drink the water. That would be so much more efficient, right? So I tell you guys what an idiot I can be so that you don't do the same thing. Well, phosphorus binds to calcium. That's what it does. It binds to it so that the body can utilize those nutrients. Well, your enamel is made of calcium. God. So it took about a year for the enamel to be smooth again because it literally pulled it off.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So that was super, super fun. And anyone who says teeth can't heal, that's not true either, because your teeth are bone. And if you broke your arm, your doctor wouldn't be like, well, it's broken. I guess you're going to have to live with it that way. So bones do heal if you give it the right nutrients, for sure. So anyway, phosphid liquid, usually do a drop or two, depending on how bad the kidney stones are, in water, in ample water, and then drink that. You don't have to chug it, but you can drink it, and then just rinse your mouth out with fresh water afterward, just to make sure it's not in there.
Yeah.
And drink that water. That's really, really important. I actually had another physician call me a couple days ago and asking me what to do with her patient who has kidney stones. And so that was the one thing that we definitely discussed. And her calcium levels were super high. And it was, there's not enough phosphorus probably, so there's too much calcium floating around in the blood instead of binding to the phosphorus and being utilized to where it's supposed to be. Yeah. The other thing that I also use is called chanca piedra, which in Spanish, chancar is to break, and piedra is stone or rock. So it literally means to break stone.
I've never heard of this stuff.
Yes, it's amazing. So I use both of those together very often. and they work great. So I have a patient who has a 250 acre ranch down in Georgia, and he was having kidney stones, and they want to do a $15,000, procedure, lithotripsy and stuff like that. And I said, you might want to try this first, because I know you don't have any insurance. And even if you did, the copay on that's going to be a heck of a lot more than a couple of bottles of this,
Yeah.
So he did what I asked him to do. And he went back 6 months later and had an ultrasound done, and all his kidney stones were gone. So he's
Oh my God.
wow. So at that point, yeah, the proof is in the pudding, right? So he decided at that point, instead of doing salt blocks for his cattle, he put out mineral blocks, and he did his own little experiment. And he said that after he put the mineral blocks out for his cattle, they never touched the salt block ever again.
Really?
Mm-hmm. And, when I've eaten the beef that I bought from him, it is so tender, and it is so easy on my stomach. Usually meat just sits there and I feel terrible, and I have to take apple cider vinegar capsules, or I have to take Zypan or something to increase my hydrochloric acid. But I ate it, and it was like I felt better than when I normally eat a salad or something. So it was super easy on my stomach. So it's interesting that obviously we've always known that whatever we feed, whatever we are going to eat, is going to have an impact on our body. But I was stunned to see that that was that much of a difference, with the difference
Wow.
between
Yeah.
and other beef. So we do that a lot with patients, and it works really, really, really well. So I know you said something, your dad had kidney stones, right?
Yeah, my dad, for a good stretch of time, my dad was making kidney stones, in his urologist's words, like popcorn. He had 5 in one kidney and 6 in the other at its worst, but he was dealing with it for a long time. And it ended up being an issue with his parathyroid. And once they got that fixed, that was it. It took a long time for them to figure out what the problem was, like what is causing this. And yeah, it was the parathyroid.
Well, the parathyroid glands aren't normally checked. It's not part of a normal basic lab that everybody, okay, you get your labs done, you get a complete metabolic profile and a CBC, and you're done. TSH, we'll throw that in for good measure, right? Then no, you're perfectly healthy, and I don't think so. So what's interesting is actually Standard Process has a product called Calma Plus, and it is a combination of calcium lactate and bovine parathyroid. And I've had patients who have high levels of calcium and having parathyroid issues, and not just because of the phosphorus. That the phosphorus tends to be just an easy thing that most people end up needing a little bit more of it anyway, which is why in the calcium that I've designed, we actually put phosphorus in there, because I know what's happening with the crops and what's not being put back into the ground.
Yeah.
So, but with parathyroid, what's interesting, I have a friend, so this was not a patient. I don't treat animals. I wanted to say that so I don't have a veterinarian lose their shizzle on me. So I have a friend, and we're just doing it as friends, just like I would say this to my neighbor out of my office. And her dog had really, really high calcium levels in the blood, and they couldn't get it down. They didn't know what was going on. They were giving him nothing with calcium in it. And I said, try the Calma Plus. It was a small dog. Give it 1 or 2 a day and see what happens. She had her dog take it, went back to the vet, and the calcium levels were completely normal.
Wow.
He was like, oh my gosh. And this was after probably a year and a half that they had been dealing with this, and she didn't ask me anything until that point. And I brought it up, and she's like, oh my gosh, I didn't even think about it because it was an animal. And I'm like, well, our DNA is not that far off. Let's be real. Anyway, what's interesting is the vet was shocked, because they're like, well, if you give calcium, would it bring the calcium levels down? And I was like, it's just the way it works with the calcium lactate. So calcium lactate tends to enhance the macrophagic behaviors. So macrophages are like Pac-Man cells that come in and clean up debris from infection. So calcium lactate helps those macrophages actually function a little bit better optimally. Let's put it that way. It doesn't fix things. It just gives nutrients to whatever it needs.
Yeah.
But the other portion of it is that it has bovine parathyroid in it. So that combination of it together tends to work beautifully. So the vet was scratching his head, and I've had other, human patients that have taken it back to their MD, and their MD's like, oh my gosh, don't take that as calcium. What are they thinking? And sometimes we stop it, and I'm like, you have nothing to lose. Like, do a lab in a month and see what happens. And literally every time we've done that, it has come down. And if it has only come down a little bit, then I generally have them take a little bit more. So if we want to make sure we're going in the right direction. But labs will, generally tell you what direction you need to be going in. So
Yeah.
make sure you don't get the word no. Like, if you want your labs done, you keep pushing, or find a doctor who will help you do the labs that need to be done and not just the basic stuff and tell you you're fine. And if somebody doesn't want to do the phosphate liquid, then do something like lemon juice, or squeeze a lemon into all of your water to acidify it a little bit more, and that can also help break it down. It won't be probably as efficient, so if you're on a time crunch or you're tired of the pain and you want to get that done, so a couple of droppers of that a day. I like the Chanca Piedra liquid, the tinctures, because it just gets absorbed beautifully, and they have capsules, so if it's not your jam, then you can try that too. But if that doesn't seem to work, then try the tincture, because different forms will be absorbed and utilized differently for different people.
Now, let me ask this. So if someone has a kidney stone, or multiple kidney stones in my dad's case, and they take the phosphate liquid, how long does it normally take to get rid of the stone? Is it just...
It depends on the person. I mean, it depends on how much water they're drinking. It depends on the other minerals that they're getting. A lot of times, a lot of people put a pinch of Himalayan salt in their water, and they're like, oh, I can't. My doctor said I'm salt sensitive. I'm like, without salt, you die too. Like, we're not doing Morton's iodized table salt that is just full of junk, right?
Right.
So, trying to get the right stuff in will also help that. So water makes a huge difference. Obviously, diet makes a huge difference, but I've even found people with any kind of stones anywhere, so even gallstones, tonsil stones, anytime you hear stones, the phosphorus tends to help. It may not completely take care of it. You might need something else with it, but it definitely can help with that. And then I'm not saying take 2 droppers a day for 15 years. It's usually like 2 droppers a day for a month or 2 or 3 or whatever's coming up with it, whatever I need to do with the patient.
Right.
And then we go down to 1 dropper, and then we go down to a dropper a week, and then we go down to a dropper a month just for maintenance, So it just sort of depends on the person and what's happening. But dietary choices are so important. And if you can make sure that you're eating good foods, and getting organic produce is going to also help, because non-organic fertilizers is not going to have enough phosphorus in it.
Yeah, no, that's a great tip. I'll share something funny with you. You know how you say there's a lot of misinformation out there? I had somebody once a friend of mine had a kidney stone, and they were told, slam a can of regular Coke and it'll get rid of your kidney stone. And I about fell over. I was like, I don't even know what to say to this. This is the most insane advice I've ever heard. It was completely,
the reason they said that probably is because of the phosphoric acid in the Coke. But
I mean, the sugar
that is going to be a whole lot healthier for you in the long run, for sure. And 1 can of Coke is not going to dissolve a kidney stone.
No,
might spoil it, but it's not going to.
It probably will.
Get rid of a kidney stone.
This was years ago, and I'll never forget it. I was so shocked. I'm like, what? Like, people are giving out this advice. This is insane. So yeah. Well, thank you, Dr. Jen. This is a big topic. I'm glad we're covering this because, again, personal in my own family with my dad having his issue years ago. But I mean, I've heard of plenty of people who have kidney stones, and they're excruciatingly painful. And if there's a way to deal with them that works, that's natural, it's just good to just get the information out there, because a lot of people don't know. And I know that there are, just a quick side note, there are things that they do like medically to break up, they use sonic waves, and then you get big bruises on, around your kidney area because they're trying to break up the stones. And it's like, wouldn't you rather just put a dropper of this, fast food in your water and drink it? Like, it's just so much easier on your body and just easier to,
cheaper, and it's taking care of the underlying issue. So you're not going to keep having to go back for this. And people are told, well, you'll have to do this for the rest of your life. Your body just creates this stuff. I'm like, no, it doesn't just do this. It's because something is missing. So figure out what's missing and go from there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thanks everybody for listening. Join our school community if you haven't before. I'll put the link in the show notes down below. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, or subscribe to our YouTube channel. Till next time, everybody. Bye-bye. That wraps up another episode of Speaking Holistically. Thank you for listening. We hope today's conversation gave you new insights and inspiration to take charge of your health. If you enjoyed this episode and want to hear more, be sure and join the Speaking Holistically school community by clicking the link in the show notes. There, you'll get access to daily podcast episodes, weekly live Q&As, educational content, and so much more. You can also connect with us on our Facebook page, follow us on Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Until next time, be well, stay curious, and keep speaking holistically.